Parler français. Leçon 4, Niveau 2. Before we start, I just want to let you know this is a sample of what the Parler Français course is all about and basically what we do in lessons. You learn to speak in sentences from the beginning. And what I'm doing now is I'm currently finishing level 1. If you're interested in purchasing the course when it is released, then register at the link in the description and you'll be the first to know. Here's your vocab for this lesson. Ne que is only. When you see ne que in a sentence, don't think it's a negative sentence. Because of the que, it introduces a restriction. I'll show you how to use that in examples. Depuis, which is since or for. When it's followed by a mark of time, you always have to use depuis. L'année dernière, last year. Il pleut, it's raining or it rains. As you know, there's only one present in French, il pleut, for both. La clé, the key. Le pays, the country. Le bureau could be the office or the desk. And because it means both, there's always a bit of an ambiguity, but in this context we're going to use the meaning of the office. Longtemps, long or long time. If you look at the word longtemps, it's formed with two words stuck together, long and temps, long time. Again, in this lesson, we'll only use verbs ending in er, but we will introduce motion verbs. So if you look at the first two, they're normal ones that take j'ai in the past tense, and the bottom three are motion verb when it's your whole person that goes somewhere, and that takes je suis. There's no explanation, it's just the way it is in French. So we've got habiter, to live. J'habite, I live. J'ai habité, I lived or I have lived. Penser, to think. Je pense, j'ai pensé. Rester, to stay. Be careful, it doesn't mean to rest, ever. It's always to stay. Je reste, je suis resté. Retourner, to go back. Je retourne, je suis retourné. Rentrer. Rentrer is to come back or to come home. It's a very specific verb, and I don't want you to use it in place of retourner because they don't mean the same. Je rentre, je suis rentré. Notice that the last three, the ending will change according to whether the person who's talking is a man or a woman, whereas with verbs taking j'ai in the past, that doesn't change. Let's practice our sentences with depuis. This is a key lesson, so I really want you to get this one right. It's a key lesson because of that particular structure. I have been living here for 10 years, since 2012 exactly. In French, there is no such thing as I have been living here. We don't have any progressive tenses. So, because you still live here, you're going to use the present tense. In effect, you will say, I live here for 10 years, since 2012 exactly. And we know that for and since are the same, so you will have depuis twice. Don't use pour, ever. Because it's not for someone, it's not for doing something, it's for 10 years. It's not the same meaning. Therefore, the French version of that would be J'habite ici depuis 10 ans. Depuis 2012 exactement. J'habite ici depuis 10 ans. Depuis 2012 exactement. Same for the next one, except it's negative. I have not been working here long. You still work here, therefore present tense. I am not working here long. I don't work here long, even. Je ne travaille pas ici depuis longtemps. Je ne travaille pas ici depuis longtemps. And here you see how in English you kind of skipped the for, but in French you need to put it in. You always need to over-specify in French. Je travaille pas ici depuis longtemps. You can leave the ne out as usual. For the next practice, we will use the past tense. When you say, I've not been back to France since last year, and let's pretend a man is speaking, the I've not been back, that's the past tense. That's not I have been living here since. No, I've not been back since. Therefore, you don't live there, past tense. Je ne suis pas retourné en France depuis l'année dernière. Je suis pas retourné en France depuis l'année dernière. Literally, I have not returned to France since last year. You see how we use retourner in French. I have lived in 3 different countries. Again, you're not actually living in 3 different countries right now, therefore the past tense is required. Plus, there's no for and since there, so take the sentence as it is. J'ai habité dans 3 pays différents. 3 countries different. J'ai habité dans 3 pays différents. I only came back to England last year. And let's imagine a lady talking. Here, the issue is going to be where to put the only, because in French it's in 2 parts, it's ne que. And for to come back, to come home, we say it's rentrer. So you would say, je ne suis rentré en Angleterre que l'année dernière. Je suis rentré en Angleterre que l'année dernière. And here, as usual, we normally drop the ne, even though it's a little bit ambiguous, because by dropping the ne, you don't catch the restriction straight away. You only catch it when you get to the que bit. So you can, if you want, leave it in for clarity. I'm staying here now. I'm a bit fed up with traveling. To remember to stay is rester. Je reste ici maintenant. J'en ai un peu marre de voyager. Je reste ici maintenant. J'en ai un peu marre de voyager. J'en ai marre, I'm fed up, is an expression we saw in level 1. Let's practice rentrer a bit more. I'm going in. It's too cold in the garden. Here we're going to use rentrer for to go in. Je rentre. Il fait trop froid dans le jardin. Je rentre. Il fait trop froid dans le jardin. The children are going to come home tomorrow. Les enfants vont rentrer demain. Les enfants vont rentrer demain. You could have said les enfants vont rentrer à la maison demain, but you don't need to over-specify here, because rentrer already contains the meaning of to come home. I thought about you last night. I watched a very good film. We know that I thought is j'ai pensé. And to think about someone is penser à. So you'll say j'ai pensé à toi hier soir. J'ai regardé un très bon film. J'ai pensé à toi hier soir. J'ai regardé un très bon film. So far we've been using bon for something that's nice to eat. Bon also applies to things like films, something that's really nice or very good. And because it's one of those adjectives that goes before the noun, that's why we say un très bon film and not un film très bon. I came home quite late and forgot to take my keys. Let's imagine a lady saying that. I came home will be je suis rentrée assez tard et j'ai oublié de prendre mes clés. Je suis rentrée assez tard et j'ai oublié de prendre mes clés. Let's do a sentence a little bit more complex. We only need one car because I work from home now. The difficulty is going to be the only and need, because we need is on a besoin de. We have a need of. But we only need on a besoin que d'une voiture parce que je travaille à la maison maintenant. On a besoin que d'une voiture parce que je travaille à la maison maintenant. You see how we have a need of, on a besoin de. You can't get rid of the de. So you put it after the que. I'm going back to the office on Monday. Here we're going to use retourner. It's not rentrer because you're not going home or coming home. So it's retourner. Je retourne au bureau lundi. Je retourne au bureau lundi. You see how in French we don't say on Monday, we just say Monday. I went back to work after 2 weeks off. It was difficult. Here we will also use retourner. Je suis retourné au travail après 2 semaines de congé. C'était difficile. And here, because a man speaks, it's je suis retourné without the double E. Je suis retourné au travail après 2 semaines de congé. C'était difficile. You see how we say 2 weeks of holiday, 2 semaines de congé. The kids are happy when it rains, but I'm not. Les enfants sont contents quand il pleut, mais pas moi. Les enfants sont contents quand il pleut, mais pas moi. As in, not me. It always rains at the weekend when we want to go out. The trap here is to put always in the right place, because in French it rains always. You have to say what happens before you say always sometimes. Never. Makes more sense. Therefore you'll say il pleut toujours le week-end quand on veut sortir. Il pleut toujours le week-end quand on veut sortir. And you see how again we don't say at the weekend, we say the weekend. I found this in the car. I don't know what it is. J'ai trouvé ça dans la voiture. Je ne sais pas ce que c'est. Here's your middle what again. J'ai trouvé ça dans la voiture. Je ne sais pas ce que c'est. It's been here for a week, or it's been here a week. But in French, you do need the for. Of course, when you say it's been here a week, again, it's still here. Therefore, you're going to use the present tense. C'est là depuis une semaine, because that's for followed by mark of time. Therefore, it's depuis, not pour. C'est là depuis une semaine. I don't know. Ask the children. Je sais pas. Demande aux enfants. Je sais pas or je ne sais pas. Demande aux enfants. Remember, in French, you ask to someone. So ask to the children. And that's all for this lesson. Please give me a like if you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions. And subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any videos I put out.